She had always told me that there are no stupid questions, but she was coming dangerously close to proving her adage wrong. "Where do you think I learned it?" I replied. "The middle room." In 1952, James and Marvell Harriot built a house for their 8 children in Hartsville, South Carolina, a scant 22 miles from the forced labor camp where James S. Bradley enslaved 253 human beings, including Marvell's great-great-grandfather Irvin. The Harriot house had 4 bedrooms, 1 bathroom, a dining room, and a living room you could enter only if you were entertaining company, had obtained written and verbal permission, or if somebody who had the Holy Ghost died. But the best room was in the center of the house, a den-style family room that would eventually become known as the middle room. 5 generations of the Harriot family would play, pray, laugh, sing, dance, and learn about the world from the middle room's vantage point. Long before I was born, my grandfather lined the entire middle room with sturdy oak shelves, and over the years, to this very day, everyone in the Harriot clan has deposited their books there. It rivals almost any independent bookstore and some libraries with stacks and stacks of books on topics from science fiction to history. It also contained a state-of-the-art television set, turntable, and hi-fi 8-track tape player that mostly played James Cleveland albums, episodes of Trapper John M.D., and election results. The burnt umber carpet was where I learned how to play Uno, spades, and acey-deucey, the remedial version of backgammon. The middle room was also a stage for family talent shows, a courtroom, and, most importantly, the homeroom, study hall, and resource center for all 4 pupils enrolled in the Dorothy Harriot Elementary School for Dorothy Harriot's children. When I was a child, my mother chose to homeschool my sisters and me. As an adult, she informed me that my early homeschooled education was an experiment due to her belief that a Black child cannot fully realize their humanity in the presence of whiteness. Although she drilled us on mathematics, grammar, and the Bible, our schooling was primarily self-directed, courtesy of the middle room. I read anything and everything, which led to many awkward incidents, like the strange side-eye I received at church after I read the autobiography of Malcolm X at 9 years old, and began ending every sentence with, "If it is Allah's will." When I was 12, after reading the science fiction novel The Soul of the Robot, I stumbled across W.E.B. Du Bois's The Souls of Black Folk. That couldn't be much different, right? I was scarcely 2 pages in when I read this. After the Egyptian and Indian, the Greek and Roman, the Teuton and Mongolian, the Negro is sort of a 7th son, born with a veil and gifted with second sight in this American world, a world which yields him no self-consciousness, but only lets him see himself through the revelation of the other world. It is a peculiar sensation, this double consciousness, this sense of always looking at one's self through the eyes of others, of measuring one's soul by the tape of a world that looks on in amused contempt and pity. One feels his two-ness, an American, a Negro, 2 souls, 2 thoughts, 2 unreconciled strivings, 2 warring ideals in one dark body, whose dogged strength alone keeps it from being torn asunder. The history of the American Negro is the history of this strife, this longing to attain self-conscious manhood, to merge his double self into a better and truer self. In this merging, he wishes neither of the older selves to be lost. The Negro is a sort of 7th son. Reading this, my brain fired off a dozen questions. Where was this alternative universe that had reduced blackness to an afterthought? And through whose eyes did Du Bois see himself? I would later discover the miseducation of the Negro, in which Carter G. Woodson explains that in the American education system, the entire